Nutrition is everything. I'm Nate. I'm the FitFutureMD. I lost 30 pounds in 30 days. Pick up that free copy of the nutrition and workout guide in the description below. If you're interested, I'm the owner of Ensorsale.com. Ensorsale is family. Together we can rise up from humble beginnings to inspire others with the messages on our t-shirts. Wear your inspiration today. So, when it comes to health and fitness, the simple fact is they say, oh, abs are built in the kitchen or whatever, all the other cliches. The simple fact is nutrition is everything, right? If you want to be a 315-pound monster bodybuilder, it's because of nutrition. If you want to be a 100-pound fitness model or a bikini girl, it's because of nutrition that happens, right? So what about, you have to choose your goals with nutrition based on what your goal actually is for how you want to look, right? So, and as you see on YouTube a lot, you see the same guys weighing the same amount, not making any progress because they're doing the same nutrition, and they've been doing the same nutrition for 10 years, right? Some of them now. And they look the same. They haven't improved. They haven't gotten stronger. Matter of fact, a lot of them are starting to give up, right? And starting to decrease what they were, right? They're not improving anymore. And most of the time with the YouTubers, it's because they're not, them having to be a certain look all year long has deteriorated their gains, right? So, and then you see the bodybuilders, which is kind of the route that I went. The bodybuilders will go all the way up 320, 350, 340 pounds. I was only willing to get up to 315 pounds, right? And, of course, strength through the roof, but super uncomfortable, and uncomfortable in planes, uncomfortable in movie theaters, uncomfortable walking around, can't run, but, I was able to gain that muscle mass and that size that I really wanted, especially like in my chest. I of course wanted my arms to grow, but they're probably going to be just a 20-inch arm, and that's just the way it's going to be, right? Like, that's just genetic for me, but that's okay. But all that is nutrition, right? So you have to choose the nutrition that you want for whatever goal you want, right? So if you want to be that 100-pound bikini girl, you're going to have to eat a certain nutrition level. Like, you're probably not going to be eating the 500-calorie piece of cake at night. Whereas you want to be a 250-pound bodybuilder, like, you might be able to get away with that 500-calorie piece of cake at night, right? So it's just different for everybody and based on everybody's goals. Now, in general, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, because the nutrition guidelines set forth by the government kind of get a bad rap because certain people's goals are different than those nutrition guidelines. Whereas the nutrition guidelines are there to make sure that children and adults that are in low income areas that are calorie deficient, and don't have access to the healthiest foods in the world, right, that they get proper nutrition, right? That they get at least the minimum standard, right? That's really what the government set forth, is what I call a minimum standard, right? And a lot of that is really the hard rap that it gets is that it's based on grain, right? That the breads, the pastas, the rice, the white potatoes, all that is heavy on that guideline. And the reason for that is because it's cheap, is high calorie and it's high nutrition value. So you're going to get a lot of vitamins and minerals from those grains, right? Whereas you say you're trying to be a 250-pound bodybuilder, like, you know, you're going to get most of your nutrition from meat, right? From a high protein source, right? Whether that, you know, even if you're trying to be less meat and you use a pea protein or something like that, it's still like highly concentrated and a big amount of protein. Whereas a normal individual might get 1 3-ounce piece of meat a day, right? Out in the country somewhere, right? So, but what's basically happened is, you know, fast food has made it where, and we're not out in the country areas anymore. And fast food is very high calorie, high dense food, high fat food that has made it where it's very easy for someone to be overweight, especially if you're not actually doing physical labor work. If you're sitting in, you know, an office all day, you know, it's going to be very difficult, because it's still this, your body's still calling for the same amount of volume, right? You know, the same amount of volume as if you were eating the lower dense food that, you know, a bodybuilder would eat, right? So really, I think that really gets a bad rap. Like, you know, obviously, and, you know, if you're near the poverty line, like, you're trying to just get calories, right? You're, you know, if you're feeding a kid that's on free lunch that may not eat when they go home, you know, they may eat breakfast and lunch at school, you know, you're trying to get them as many calories and as many vitamins as you can, you know, and something that they'll actually eat, right? So, you know, I think the guidelines kind of get a bad rap on that, but you got to realize these are minimum standard guidelines, okay? It's not going to be the end all be all to be a fitness model, right? It's the end all be all to make sure that children survive through harsh and rough conditions, right? So I think that's something to keep in mind. But so for me, like, say if you follow me in the nutrition guide, like, I want to be a 240 to 250 pound man that has a nice muscular athletic frame, right? And so for me to do that, you know, I've chosen to basically follow a macro approach where I track macros and then I make sure I take multivitamins and eat vegetables to get my micronutrients, right? And then of course you're gonna kind of see where you're at on that and then supplement extra stuff that you may need or may not need, right? And you do that through blood testing, right? So if you're gonna start restricting, you go to your doctor and say, hey, I'm gonna be restricting calories. I need to know if my vitamins are good or not, you know, and what I may or may not need to supplement, you know, whatever. They may send you to a nutritionist to try to help you out because insurance pays for nutritionists, you know, so take advantage of that if you have good insurance. But so for me, I'm doing a macro approach, right? You know, I'm multiplying the body weight that I want to be times 14, and that's going to give me basically how many calories I can have in a day, right? So, which is approximately around 3,000. Okay, so I'm trying to hit that 3,000. I'm trying to hit that body weight in protein. So if I want to be 250 pounds, that means I got to hit 250 grams of protein a day, right? And that's so that the muscle that I have doesn't deteriorate. And I'm probably going to end up being between 10 and 15% body fat, you know, lean, and that's going to be sustainable year round. And that's why I say I'm gonna be on the Stay Fit Forever plan, and then when I diet, I want to, and then so for me, so to help you not have cravings, right? I choose to, and I learned this from Evan Centopani. To not have cravings, you keep each macro at the same level, right? The same calorie level. So if you're getting say you're getting 1,000 calories from protein, you want to get 1,000 calories from carbs and 1,000 calories from fat. And then that way you really don't have those cravings, right? And, of course I try to cut out all the stuff that would cause cravings, like coffee creamer, soda, candy, anything that's going to spike up your insulin and cause you to have cravings, right? You want your level to just be flat, right? So your body's constantly producing the same and you're, constantly feeding it the same. It's almost like making your body a machine, right? And you can tell when that process is off because you can tell when this process is working because by the time you get to the next meal, your body has digested the food that you ate, right? And I'm trying to, adjust that between 5 and 6 meals, right? So if you're at 250 grams of protein, that's 50 grams of protein a meal, right? And of course I'm supplementing, protein with protein shakes and protein bars. Like I'm not eating, I'm physically not eating that much meat a day, right? But, ideally if I was rich enough, I would have somebody preparing meals for me like that. And I would go to, a lean fish source and a high quality steak source, grass-fed beef, that kind of stuff, bison. But, I'm not currently rich. So I choose to use chicken breast and, a little bit, and it's not grass-fed steak, right? As my primary meat sources, right? So I'm having, 9 ounces of chicken and, probably 8 ounces of steak a day, right? And then supplementing from there. So, but it's just something easy for you to figure out, like pick that up in the nutrition guide, like, figure it out for yourself. Obviously, I put all that information out there for free because people were charging crazy $50, $100 for that information, and it should just be standard information that everybody knows. Like, so, hopefully this helps you out, guys. Like, say, you can change your nutrition based on what you want to look like. Use that math formula to figure that out. So if you want to be a 100-pound, bikini girl, know that 1,400 calories, 100 times 14 is pretty much, if you stay at under 1,400 calories and divide that into even macros, you're pretty much going to end up being that, right? And you can do that forever. So that's why I call it the Stay Fit Forever plan. I'm Nate, I'm the FitFutureMD, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.